Rain hit the pavement like gunfire. She didn't run, didn't scream, just stood there, breathing smoke in silence, as the city pulsed around her like a dying heart. Red and blue light stuttered across her face, catching on the wet curve of her jaw, the trembling of her blood-soaked hands. Somewhere in the distance, sirens wailed like broken prayers. The man at her feet wasn't moving. His blood crawled toward the gutter, mixing with the rain, black against black. Aleksandr Volkov, heir to one of Europe's most feared syndicates, looked almost human in that moment. No power, no empire, just a man whispering her name through cracked lips, in a language no one else could understand. Maya, they said she killed him. They said a black woman from Harlem had shot a foreign prince in cold blood. They said it with the hunger of a nation that loves a villain more than a victim. Headlines bled faster than truth. Asterisk mafia mistress. Asterisk asterisk diversity hire turned killer. Asterisk asterisk Harlem temptress guns down Russian heir. Asterisk. Each one carved another wound she couldn't hide. But no one knew the truth. No one knew that just hours earlier he'd taken a bullet meant for her. It started at the Gala of Unity, a night dressed in white lies and crystal chandeliers. The same powerful men who toasted progress wouldn't touch her hand in daylight. She was there as a translator, fluent in Russian, fluent in invisibility, the only black woman in the room, the one who was supposed to be grateful just to exist. He saw her first. Aleksandr Volkov. Foreign accent, American arrogance, a scar down his neck like lightning trapped in skin. "You speak my language too well," he said, voice low, eyes sharp. She smiled, unamused. "Maybe you just listen too little." Their words collided, heavy with something neither of them understood, and that was their first mistake. The gunfire came before the laughter died. Crystals shattered. The orchestra froze. Maya dropped the glass in her hand as screams split the air. Aleksandr moved faster than thought, pulling her behind a marble pillar just as bullets tore through the room. "They came for me," he growled. "No," she hissed back. "They came for who you were standing with. The governor. White, powerful, untouchable. The kind of man who shook hands in public and ordered deaths in private. Your country," Aleksandr said, voice cold and deliberate, "has its own mafia. They just wear better suits." His shoulder bled, but he didn't slow. The smell of gunpowder filled her lungs, thick as sin. They escaped through a side corridor, glass crunching beneath their feet. Outside, Harlem's night swallowed them whole. Rain blurred everything except the sound of his breath beside hers. Later, in a narrow alley between forgotten buildings, the truth found them again. The governor's men appeared like ghosts. One gun, one wrong move, one flash of light, and Aleksandr stepped into the bullet meant for her. The echo of the shot folded into thunder. His body fell against hers, heavy and hot, his blood spilling over her hands like confession. His men vanished into shadows before she could scream. Cameras caught what the world wanted to see, a black woman kneeling beside a white man's body, gun on the ground, guilt written by color. By dawn, she was in handcuffs. The metal bit into her wrists as the police van rattled through the city's veins. The detective sitting across from her wouldn't look her in the eye. "Is he alive?" she asked. His smirk was thin, cruel. "People like you don't get angels." She laughed once, low, empty, because she knew what he meant. He wasn't talking about crime or class. He was talking about her skin. Hours later, everything went dark. Literally. The grid failed. Sirens died. The van screeched to a stop mid-bridge. Silence. Thick and unnatural. Then a whisper of Russian from somewhere in the dark. "Zaberio. Take her." When the lights returned, every officer was unconscious. The van door hung open. Her cuffs gone. Maya stumbled out, half-blind, the city a smear of shadow and flame. A car idled nearby, black, tinted impossible. The door opened. Alexander sat inside, pale but alive, a ghost breathing. "They'll come for you," she whispered. "They already did," he answered. "Now I come for them." He handed her a gun. She didn't take it. Her hands were shaking too hard. "I'm not one of you," she said. "No," he murmured. "You're better. That's why they'll fear you more." The skyline burned behind them. Billboards screamed her name. Asterisk wanted. Armed black female suspect. Asterisk each letter a noose tightening around her identity. Alexander watched the city lights. The glass towers glowing like judgment. "In America," he said softly, "they kill with words before bullets." She turned to him, eyes dark and alive. The mafia prince who believed in blood over borders. The black woman America had already condemned without trial. Two sinners from different worlds, crucified for different sins. And for one fleeting second, the world felt fair. Then an explosion. Fire bloomed behind them, swallowing the night in orange fury. The shock wave threw her forward. She hit the asphalt hard, glass biting her skin. When the smoke cleared, Alexander was gone. Only a silver chain lay in her hand, still warm. She looked up at the burning skyline, her reflection flickering in the shattered glass around her. Blood on her skin, ash in her breath, truth in her silence. And somewhere in the distance, the city began to burn. The mansion burned like confession. Fire climbed the walls, licking the sky with orange tongues, devouring the last secrets of the men who once ruled beneath its chandeliers. Smoke curled through broken glass as Maya stepped inside, her pulse loud enough to drown the world. The marble floors bled with footsteps and spilled champagne. Alexander stood in the center of it all, his white shirt soaked in blood, gun loose in his hand, eyes fixed on her like she was both weapon and salvation. "They'll bury us both before sunrise," he said, voice low, trembling under steel. She met his gaze through the smoke. "Then we dig first." The world shuddered between them, a heartbeat away from ending. The governor lay sprawled across the floor, still breathing. Foam clutched to his chest. The stench of power and gasoline hung thick in the air. "You think he loves you?" he coughed, spitting blood that stained the marble red. "He bought you just like the rest." Maya froze. Alexander lifted his gun, but her voice cut through the crackle of fire. "No, let him talk." She sounded nothing like the woman she once was. Her tone was ice over flame. The governor's laugh scraped her ears raw. "He needed Harlem. You were convenient. The black face to open doors that white ones couldn't." Each word was a blade, twisting deep. Alexander's jaw tightened. The silence that followed was worse than betrayal. It was truth breathing. Maya's mind replayed every moment, every touch, every whispered promise. The charity gala, the rescue, his hand on her wrist, his accent turning her name into poetry. All of it, a transaction wearing the costume of love. Her throat closed. "Tell me he's lying," she whispered. But Alexander said nothing. Thunder cracked above them. The lights flickered. And in that flash, she saw him differently. Not savior, not lover, but architect of her cage. "You used me," she said. His face broke open, raw with regret. "No, I needed you. I just didn't plan to love you." The sound of glass shattering swallowed his words. Bullets tore through the air. The windows exploded inward, raining diamonds of fire. His men flooded the room, black suits, masked faces, moving with mechanical precision. But something was wrong. They weren't aiming at her. They were aiming at him. Maya dug behind a column, blood in her mouth, skin sliced by flying glass. Alexander's voice thundered in Russian. Commands barked into chaos. But the gunfire didn't stop. His men kept advancing, silent, unflinching. "They betrayed you," she shouted. He turned, realization slamming through him like a second bullet. "No," he breathed, eyes widening. "They're not my men." The shooting ceased as suddenly as it began. From the smoke stepped a detective, the same one who'd handcuffed her, the same one who said people like her don't get angels. His badge glinted through the haze. "America cleans its mess," he said, voice calm, too calm. "You think we let a black woman and a foreign criminal rewrite the story?" His gun leveled at Maya. She stood still, the fire roar behind her, light painting her face in red and gold. Alexander moved before she could speak. 2 shots. The detective fell first. Alexander second. Maya ran to him, knees slipping in blood. Her hands pressed against the wound, desperate. "Stay with me," she pleaded, voice breaking. He smiled faintly, lips gray. "Now they can't use me," he whispered. "Now you're free." From his jacket, he pulled a cracked flash drive, slick with blood. "The files," he gasped. "Proof. Every name, every dollar. They built their empire on your silence." His hand went limp. The world fell still. Rain poured through collapsing roof, hissing against the fire like mercy too late. Maya rose slowly, trembling, drive clutched to her chest. Outside, the night howled. Sirens, drones, helicopters, the metallic hum of power circling to erase her once more. "Put down the weapon!" A voice boomed through a megaphone. Cameras swarmed like vultures, hungry for her fall. She looked down at the drive, then at his body. The air tasted like ash and endings. She raised her hands, not in surrender, but defiance. "You want the truth?" she shouted, voice echoing off the burning walls. "Here it is." And she threw the drive into the fire. The explosion lit the night sky like judgment. Sparks showered her skin. Every camera caught it. The woman they hunted standing tall as the world burned behind her. The crowd gasped. Officers advanced. She didn't move. In the smoke, she swore she heard him again, voice faint, foreign, eternal. Angel. The flames devoured her silhouette. Some said she vanished. Others said the fire took her whole. But those who watched closely, those who truly listened, knew what they'd seen wasn't tragedy. It was freedom, rising from the ashes in the shape of a woman the world tried to erase. If her fire unsettled you, remember, she didn't burn to be saved. She burned so the world would finally see the smoke. Like, share and subscribe, not for her story, but for every truth they tried to silence.